Everybody, it is LooksMax Rendezvous here, and I just want to give you all a quick, big reminder that if you are looking to LooksMax, like if you have any beliefs that are based, red pilled, Sigma, Alpha, whatever like ideas are out there, please keep that to yourself, especially if you're around, boomers, Gen X, if you're in like more conservative, like right-wing spaces. Because let's face it, for one, older men in general tend to have like a stronger disgust response. They tend to feel a lot of disgust, and because subconsciously they know that what you are doing is sort of dysgenic, right? You're sort of trying to elevate your looks, elevate your sexual market value artificially, if you will, and you're sort of using that to sort of slip through the cracks. Both literally and figuratively, of natural selection and all that, sexual selection. So obviously, a lot of people are just going to instinctively have sort of this gut reaction, especially if you are around like guys that have kids, like guys that are actually with their kids and all that. I would say be very, very, very careful about that. Do not be telling anybody about this shit, because if you are out there trying to LooksMax, you are out there trying to increase your SMV so you can, pull some hoes. Let's just be honest about it. Guys, be careful as fuck. Like, you are gonna get boomer, blue pill, just gaslighting. Obviously, boomers and Gen X, they have pretty much most of the money in this country and around the world. Especially if you're around, like older guys that are like 40 and above that have daughters. Definitely don't fucking go near them. Like, don't mention this shit to them. Come up with some excuse. Try to keep your stuff as low-key as possible. I mean, obviously nowadays we're sort of living in this, we're living in a different paradigm, different, reality. So just, guys, I want to give you all a quick reminder to be careful about this, because it could very quickly turn into some pretty nasty sabotage, especially when it comes to, like gaslighting and saying that you're, delusional, schizophrenic, or whatever, because the last thing you want is to be put on, psych meds, because if you are put on psych meds, you're pretty much chemically castrated, which can be permanent, unless if you're very lucky, which, I was put on psych meds, I was very lucky, figured out a way to remediate them and to essentially mitigate the negative side effects. I mean, it still costed me a lot, and I still had to, pay a pretty heavy price. And of course, I was, being gaslit about that. But, I'm just saying, bros, be careful out there. You don't know who's trying to sabotage you, who's trying to work against you, because on an instinctive level, people know that what you're doing is sort of, you are trying to slip through the cracks. You are trying to slip through sexual selection, slip in under the radar. That is what you are trying to do. Whether they are, consciously aware of it or not, it is something that's just subconscious. It is what we are like as human beings. Because let's face it, we are a eugenic species. We are a selective species, and the selective pressure is placed higher on men. Not to mention that men are just naturally more competitive with one another, and men are actually very much competitive. They're very protective of women. Most men are like that, especially if the guy has a daughter. He's going to be extremely protective of young women. He's going to be like a rabid feminist, to the point where even most women think he's an idiot, and it's like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with this guy, right? Because that's ultimately what it is. So blue pilled, I would say that right-wing spheres are actually more blue pilled. They're going to do more to sabotage you as just like a beta male, because they can see the games you're trying to play. I would say keep that shit as low-key as you possibly can for as long as possible. I'm already taking a risk here, but it's a risk that I'm willing to take for all of you. And I'm going to tell you more about my story later on. And if I have already told you guys, then you know where it is, you know where to see it, and that's it, guys. Take care.